Namaskar, welcome back friends. In this lesson, you're going to learn about planetary yogas. We are going to discuss solar combinations, lunar combinations. You're going to learn about combinations in the horoscope that can make a person a king and can indicate great rising in life. We're going to explore combinations that indicate financial gain and where the money sits in our horoscope. We're going to explore combinations that can cause poverty, and we're going to explore 5 unique combinations that indicate a person of great stature, a great personality. We're also going to explore Dvigraha yogas, which means how to interpret anytime 2 planets in a horoscope conjoin. The Sanskrit term yoga comes from the root yuj. Yuj means to yoke, to unite, and therefore yogas refers to the combination of 2 planets. Planets can enter yogas in 3 ways. Either they combine in the same house, in the same zodiac sign, or they exchange the house with another planet. For example, if Mercury is in Taurus while Venus is in Gemini, now Mercury and Venus have exchanged signs, have exchanged houses. In that sense, they also enter yoga. And third, planets can enter yoga if they mutually aspect each other, if they're mutually looking at each other. We have not learned about the planetary sites in this lesson, so let me briefly introduce this topic to you. Every planet looks at the 7th house from itself, except for Ketu. Ketu, he is a body without the head, therefore he has no eyes and he does not look at any house. Besides Ketu, every other planet looks at the 7th house from it, which is always the sign or house opposite from the sign he is placed in. Now, all the outer planets have additional aspects. The Sun, Mercury and Venus only look at the 7th house. Also the Moon only looks at the 7th house. While Mars, he also looks at the 4th and 8th house in addition to the 7th house. The 4th and 8th house, they have a special connection to our life, to our death, and Mars, he looks at these houses with this idea of protection. Jupiter, he looks in addition to the 7th to the 5th and 9th. The 5th and 9th house are trines, and Jupiter, he's desiring to uphold Dharma. Therefore, he's always keeping an eye on the Dharma trines from his position. Saturn, he looks at the 3rd and 10th house, which are both Upachaya houses. The Upachaya houses, they take a long time to grow. So also every house that Saturn looks at, it can take a little bit longer. In general, if only one planet aspects a house, if it is a malefic, the malefic is not going to harm so much. Mars, he can give ambition. Saturn, he can give growth over time. He can give discipline and endurance. The benefics, they bless a house. If one benefic aspects a house, that is great. If 2 benefic aspects, we have a hidden blessing in a chart. If 2 malefic planets aspect the house, it becomes a little bit difficult, particularly if it is one fiery planet, one Agni Graha and one Vayu planet, such as if Saturn and Mars aspect the house together, if Saturn and Ketu, if Saturn aspects a house in which Ketu is sitting, or Saturn and the Sun aspect the same house, or if Mars and Rahu, Mars and Saturn aspect the same house, there's a little bit of a problem. We call it a Shapa curse, but that is a different lesson. If 2 planets mutually aspect each other, they enter yoga. Let me also tell you about the aspect of Rahu. There's a lot of different opinions out there in the world. In my astrological lineage that I have studied from, what I've seen work in real life, is Rahu is also looking at the 5th and 9th house. He's looking in reverse, so his 9th house aspect goes to the 5th, his 5th house aspect goes to the 9th, and he is the significator for Adharma. So naturally he's looking at the Dharma trines to counter Jupiter's aspects to introduce Adharma. Rahu also looks at the 12th house from him, but he looks in reverse, so his glance at the 12th will actually move to the 2nd house, like a thief who's always watching behind his back. Is anyone stealing from me? So Rahu looks also behind his back in the retrogression at the 2nd house. 2 very common combinations that we see in nearly every horoscope is the Shubha Khatari and the Papa Khatari. Shubha means auspicious, Khatari means scissors. So Shubha Khatari is like the good scissors, the auspicious scissors. While Papa Khatari, Papa, do you remember Papa Karma? Papa means evil, it means negative. And therefore Papa Katri is the evil scissors, the negative scissors. So if any planet is surrounded by two benefics, if there is a benefic also in the second house from him and in the 12th house from him, for example, if we have Mercury in Pisces and then we have Venus in Aries and Jupiter in Aquarius, then Venus and Jupiter will surround Mercury and they will bless Mercury. So even though Mercury is debilitated in Pisces, having this Shubha-Katari yoga of Venus and Jupiter, they will help him. We can take them inside the sign of Pisces and they will help Mercury to overcome his challenges. That is very auspicious. The same also is true if we have two benefics surrounding our ascendant or any house for this matter. Any planet or house or any significator that is surrounded by two benefic planets in the 2nd and 12th house will gain the good effects of this Shubha-Katari yoga. A Papa-Katari yoga is the reverse. If any planet or house is surrounded by two malefics, that is slightly inauspicious. That indicates some Papa karma, some negative reactions that we have to work through in this lifetime. If our ascendant is surrounded by Mars in the 2nd house and Saturn in the 12th house, that is a textbook Papa Katari yoga. And since the Lagna represents ourself and our persona, a Papa Katari on the ascendant often indicates that we ourselves are surrounded by bad people. And if we don't choose our association carefully, we might be very easily be taken advantage of by others. The same holds true if a planet is surrounded by two malefics, that also hurts the planet. For example, if Jupiter would be in Virgo and then we have Saturn in Leo and Mars in Libra, that will also significantly hurt the significations of Jupiter. Another common combination is the Parivartana yoga. A Parivartana yoga is the house exchange. So I say this one more time. If Jupiter would be in Capricorn, which is the sign of debilitation, and Saturn would be in Pisces, which is Jupiter's sign. Jupiter, he will not act as a debilitated planet because he is in this exchange with Saturn, and he will act as if he is in Pisces, as if he has incredible strength. So that is the Parivartana yoga, the house exchange. It is a combination that we see in many horoscopes, and if we don't know about it, we can miss the entire story that is being told here. The Shubha and Papa Katari yoga is also key in understanding the solar and lunar yogas. The sun and the moon, they have a unique position in the horoscope because the sun is the indicator of ourself and the moon of the mind. Therefore, there's an entire section of yogas dedicated to combinations with the sun and with the moon. The position and strength of the sun indicates how many resources are available to us in our life. And therefore, a strong sun in our horoscope is key to ensure that we have resources available and can rise in our life. For that, the 2nd and 12th house from the sun becomes extremely important. Planets that are in the 2nd house from the sun are often seen just after sunrise. Planets that are in the 2nd house of the sun indicate what we like to spend our resources on. And benefic planets in the 2nd house from our sun often indicate that we give our resources towards good deeds and good actions, while malefics in the 2nd house from the sun can indicate the opposite. The 12th house from the sun are planets that rise just before the sunrise. And therefore, planets in the 12th house from our sun indicate the resources that are coming to us. If Mercury is in the 12th house from our sun, resources in our life could come from studying, from learning, from teaching, from acquiring more skills. If Mars is in the 12th house from the sun, resources could come from competitions, from fighting, from ambition. If there are planets both 2nd and 12th, this is extremely auspicious as it indicates a strong flow of resources and also their utilization. Planets that are conjoined to Sun will impact who we are, our personality, how does our intelligence function, what is important to us, what do we identify with. We can apply the same principle to the moon. Planets that are in the second house from the moon indicate that which feeds our mind. Like the second house, it is our face, it is our mouth, it is what we're eating. Therefore, the second house from the moon is what feeds our mind. We like to work careers that are connected to planets in the second house from the moon, because those are things that keep us mentally busy. If Jupiter is in the second house of the moon, our mind eats knowledge. We love wisdom, we love higher teachings. If Saturn is in the second house from our moon, it means that we are more attracted to negative thoughts. We're more attracted towards a feeling of scarcity. And it might be helpful for us to remodel our mind through yoga, through meditative practices, in a more abundant mentality. Because Saturn in the second house from the moon can indicate an idea of scarcity, since Saturn is feeding our mind. Planets in the 12th house from the moon indicate what comes out of our mind. How are we using what we are eating? So if there is Mars in the second house of our moon, it can indicate that we easily get angry or upset or annoyed, because Mars is coming out of our mouth. If Venus is in the 12th house from our moon, then what comes out of our mind is creativity, it is art, it is a love for detail. While the sun indicates the resources available to us, the moon indicates social and communal support. Both the sun and the moon are extremely important. If there's no planet in the second and 12th house from the moon, and if there's no planet conjoined the moon, if there's no planet aspecting the moon, and on top of that, if there's no planet, no benefic planet in Kendra or Kona, then Kema Druma Yoga is formed, which is an extremely challenging combination. Kema Druma indicates poverty, severe hardships, financial struggle, mental health challenges, because the moon is unsupported. The moon doesn't shine by itself. It needs the light of the sun. It needs the association of other planets. In the same way, like we need family, we need society, we need people surround us that are supporting us. The strength of the sun and the moon, the resources available to us, the social support in our life are key factors in determining how much we can rise. Next, let's explore Raja Yogas, which are combinations that can cause great life and life, and that can even make a beggar a king. Raja Yogas are formed when planets that lord Kendra houses, namely the 1st, 4th, 7th or 10th house, combine with planets that lord trinal houses, namely the 1st, 5th and 9th house. There are variations of Raja Yogas, but these Raja Yogas in particular are called Lakshmi Narayan Raja Yogas, because that is a combination of Lakshmi, who is connected to the trines and good fortune, and Vishnu, who lords the pillars of the chart. Whenever one of these planets will get activated, then that can cause immense rise in life. If a person has one Raja Yoga in the horoscope, that is significant. If a person has 2, 3 or more, and particularly if these Raja Yogas reinforce each other, we have a person born with great ease and luck in their life. Let's think about it. The first lord is the indicator of our self and our intelligence. It's both a Kendra and a trine. So when the first lord conjoins with the 10th lord, the house of career, we have a great Raja Yoga formed, because our intelligence and our career are greatly aligning and reinforcing each other. When the first lord conjoins with the 4th lord, another Raja Yoga is born, because a person's heart and their happiness align with their intelligence and their self. When the 1st and the 7th lord combine, also we have a Raja Yoga formed, because there is support from the spouse, there's support from the partner, which will lead to great rise in life. Now, when we think of the 5th lord is our intelligence in particular. So if that trinal lord combines with any of the other Kendra lords, again, we have a beautiful combination form. Particularly when the 4th and 5th lord conjoin, we particularly call it Vishnu Yoga, because the heart and the intelligence, they're working together. We have a person who can see the common thread between all the philosophies in the world. Also, the 9th and 10th lord together are extremely auspicious because now a person's dharma, the 9th house, and their karma, their career, are identical. That causes dharma, karma, adipati yoga, which means that a person's dharma, their personality, their outlook in life, and their career are the same. Do you have any Raja Yogas in your chart? If yes, how many? I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Let's explore Dana Yogas next. Dana means wealth. So Dana Yogas are combinations that will give us money. And the knowledge of Dana Yogas will also tell us where money in our life comes from, how much money in our life we will earn, and where to store our money. So the natural money houses are the 2nd house of wealth, the 5th house of intelligence, which indicates our investment choices, the 9th house of fortune, of course, and the 11th house of salary. We can also include the 4th house for property. Now, whenever the lords of the 2nd, 4th, 5th, 9th, or 11th house conjoin, or exchange houses, or look at each other, whenever they combine and form yoga, we have a Dana Yoga, we have a wealth-giving combination. To really understand the meaning of this, let's have a look at the horoscope of Mark Zuckerberg.
Here we have the horoscope of Mark Zuckerberg, and we can analyze the money houses. We have the 2nd house, which is ruled by the moon. We have the 4th house, which is ruled by Mercury. We have the 5th house, which is ruled by Venus. The 9th house, which is ruled by Saturn. And the 11th house, which is ruled by Mars. So the moon, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, and Mars are our primary planets indicating wealth. Now, if any of these planets combine, either by conjunction, mutual aspect, or exchange of house, we have a Dana Yoga formed, a wealth-giving combination. So let's have a look. First, we can observe the moon, and the moon is indeed with Saturn, who is the Lord of Fortune. That is a beautiful Dana Yoga. The 2nd Lord of our bank account has combined with the 9th Lord of good fortune. On top of that, the moon is also conjoined the 11th Lord, Mars, which is the Lord of gains. So the Lord of the bank account is not only conjoined the Lord of Fortune, but also the Lord of gains. If we look further, the moon is also a mutual aspect with Mercury, since both planets are looking at the 7th house from each other. So that is the combination of the 2nd house of money with the 4th Lord of property, which is a very favorable combination for property investments. Additionally, the moon, which is the 2nd Lord, also has a mutual aspect with Venus, which is the 5th Lord. This is another beautiful combination, ensuring that our investment choices will land in our bank account. Indeed, in this chart, the 2nd Lord Moon is in contact with every other planet that indicates wealth. Now, we can do the same for Mercury, and we will see that the 4th Lord Mercury is also in contact with all the other wealth-giving planets. This is particularly significant since Mercury is also the Ascendant Lord. Any combination that involves the Ascendant Lord will have an even greater effect, since the Ascendant Lord is the primary indicator for ourselves, is the Lord of the Kendra and the Lord of the Trine. Now we could continue this list, but it is already obvious that every possible Dana Yoga that could be formed exists in the horoscope of Mark Zuckerberg. And therefore, he was the youngest self-made billionaire and acquired a net worth of over $1 billion at the age of 21 years. Can you spot any other amazing combinations in this horoscope? There's many Raja Yogas hiding here, and also Panchamahaprusha Yoga that we're going to learn next.
The opposite of Dana Yogas are Daridra Yogas. Daridra means poor, poverty. The Daridra Yogas are formed whenever any lord of the Dushtanas, meaning the 6th lord, the 8th lord, or the 12th lord, conjoins with one of the lords of money. Remember, all the Dushtanas have Saturn as their Bhava Karaka, and therefore whenever any of these lords conjoins one of the planets indicating wealth, that combination can cause scarcity, similar to any planet who conjoins Saturn, who is the primary indicator for poverty and for scarcity. When the 6th, 8th, or 12th lord are in any of the money houses, a poverty combination is formed. Whenever any of the lords of money, namely the 2nd, 4th, 5th, 9th, or 11th lord, are in the 6th, 8th or 12th house, also a combination for poverty is formed. Every horoscope will have both. It will have Dana yogas and it will have the Rudra yogas. The timing system that we learn in our next class from Shotri Dasha will decide which combination will get activated. But in general, we can evaluate if there is a greater number of Dana yogas in the chart, a person will tend to be on the wealthier side. If there's a greater number of the Rudra yogas, a person will be on the poorer side. The great sage Parashara tells us about 5 additional combinations that can indicate a great personality. These are called the Pancha, Maha, Purusha yogas. Pancha means 5, Maha means great, Purusha of course means person. A Maha Purusha yoga is formed when one of the elementary planets, namely Mars is connected to the fire element, Mercury is connected to the earth element, Jupiter is connected to space, Venus is connected to water, or Saturn is connected to the air element, is situated in their own sign or exalted in the Kendra houses of the horoscope. This gives the mastery over the element of the planet. So if Jupiter is exalted or in his own sign in Kendra, a person is said to gain mastery over the space element. He will have all the good qualities of Jupiter. He will become an excellent teacher. The space element is connected to sound. Therefore, he'll be a great listener. He will be very learned and he will be a very good speaker too. He will be able to give space to others and to see. And he will be able to facilitate different opinions and therefore he'll be extremely learned. If the same combination occurs with Mars, we call it Ruchaka Mahapurusha Yoga. A person will gain mastery over the fire element. He will become a great fighter, a great manager. He'll be a great agent of transformation. If the same combination is formed with Venus, if Venus is either in Taurus or in Libra or in Pisces, in Kendra, a person will gain mastery over the water element. They will have very fine taste. Water is connected to taste. They will have a sense for beauty. They will know how to speak very pleasingly. They might be very excellent in the arts. They will be creative. They will be a great diplomat. They will have all the good qualities of Venus. If Malavya Mahapurusha Yoga is formed, Venus is in Kendra, exalted or own sign, a person will have great magnetic appeal. And if a person with the opposite sex has this combination and they enter a room, people who cannot control their mind will become very attracted to them. If Mercury is in the set combination, we call it Bhadra Mahapurusha Yoga. A person will gain mastery over the earth element. They will also become very intelligent. They will have a lot of commercial knowledge. They will know how to produce goods, how to produce ideas, how to sell. Mercury will show his best form. And if Saturn is in the set combination, a person attains mastery over the air element, over wind. They will become a great administrator. They will know how to divide. They will know how to move people around. They might become the owner of a factory. And they will be very hardworking and disciplined. The house placement of the Mahapurusha Yoga can tell us more about it. If the Mahapurusha Yoga is formed in the first house as the person himself, who is an extremely great person. If the Mahapurusha Yoga is placed in the 4th house, it can mean that they come from a great family or they have a great mother. And for that reason, they develop these qualities themselves. If the Mahapurusha Yoga is formed in the 7th house, it is the partner who is the Mahapurusha. It is the partner who is this great person who is also helping them to become better themselves. And if the Mahapurusha Yoga is formed in the 10th house, it is the career that influences a person to become great. To adequately predict the results of a yoga, we also have to learn about Dvi-graha yogas. Dvi means 2, Graha means planet, and yoga, of course, combination. So Dvi-graha yoga are any combination of 2 planets. Whenever 2 planets combine, their significations will mix. For example, if Jupiter, who represents our worldview, our spirituality, mixes with Mars, a person will be attracted towards fire, because Mars, fire, they be attracted towards ritual. Mars, ritual, they be attracted towards sport. Mars, he is sport. Just think of it, the Olympics. There's a fire, there's sport, and there's lots of ritual. That is all Mars. So if Mars is with Jupiter, then a person's worldview will be tainted by an attraction towards these matters. Also, Mars is very fiery. Jupiter is a teacher. So if Mars is with Jupiter, we have a Bible basher, a person who actually preaches their philosophy very boldly. If Jupiter conjoins with Saturn, then a person's worldview will be tainted by respect for antiquity, for old things, for history. We call it Brahma Yoga. Brahma, he's the creator. He is the engineer of the universe. He was born on a lotus. He was the first being in the universe. And he asked, where am I? What is creation? Where do I come from? So also people with Jupiter, Saturn, they wonder, where do we come from? What is the history of this world? They might like museums, etc. If Jupiter conjoins with Venus, a person's worldview will be colored by desire for enjoyment, for fine foods, for music, for dance, etc. If Jupiter is with Mercury, we have a person who will actually read the books connected to their spiritual orientation. We can do the same analysis with the other planets. Any planet that conjoins Venus will alter how we express ourselves in relationships. If Venus is with Mars, then our desire for relationships will have a very strong physical element, and there will be a greater desire for passion and for intimacy. If Venus conjoins Ketu, Ketu represents detachment. He's a monk. A person might not be so interested in relationships whatsoever. If Venus is with Saturn, there can be an experience of scarcity in relationship, a feeling of being limited. If Venus is with the Moon, we have two very watery planets together, a person will love very deeply. My teacher mentioned there might be like a hopeless romantic. I think people with Venus and Moon together, they are great nourishers. Venus with Mercury, Mercury indicates our speech. With Venus, they be very sweet speakers. Mercury with Mars, they be very forceful speakers. Mercury and the Sun, they will be very direct. Mercury and Ketu, they might be a little bit reserved in their speech, or very hypnotic, or not easily understood. Wonderful. Thank you so much for listening until the end. Please join me in the last step of our series where we're going to explore the Vimshotri Dasha and how to accurately time events using Vedic astrology. Thank you so much.